Overall, this setup is great because, look, this is the non-holding R reload. Pretty quick, but then, of course, if you hold R, really fast and nice reload. But the biggest thing about this one is that, I'll just show you. Like, it is so accurate. So hello gamers and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be ranking every single assault rifle in BattleBit Remastered. If you guys don't know me, I'm Strider and I make videos on Phantom Forces, and this is kind of a very similar game. So I spent the last few hours testing every single gun in this game, and I wanted to make a video ranking the assault rifles, showing which ones are the best and showing the setups for all of them, because I've tested basically every single attachment in this entire game and I know how each gun works, how to use them correctly, and I'm going to be ranking them on a scale of 1 to 5. But without further ado, let's get into it, starting with the AK-74. Now, the AK-74 hits for 31 to the body, as well as about 46 to the head. I'll show you guys right here. So it does 31, and it does 46.5 to the head. Now, this should make it a 4-shot and a 3-shot headshot, but there is something really interesting about this game that you guys need to know before we get any further on into this video, because it's very important. That is basically, people in this game don't necessarily have just 100 health. In fact, they have at base 125. So I will be talking about hits to kill on 125 players, because that's like medics and snipers and stuff like that. Assault category might take an extra hit to kill, same with support, but a lot of people are going to be engineer, medic, and sniper, which are 125 health about. So that's what I'm going to be going off of for hits to kill. So since players will have 125 health, this will actually be doing 31, and then 62, and then 93, and then up to 124. And that's pretty annoying, because 5 hits with 124 damage is super annoying. So what you're going to want to do on this gun is try to get the damage up. There is a way to increase the damage on some of these guns, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but going off of the basic performance of this gun, no attachments, I mean, it's pretty accurate, not gonna lie. That is, of course, with recoil control. Without recoil control, I mean, it's kind of hard to just show it while actually shooting at guys, but of course, this gun does have a little bit of recoil to it, but since it's a 5.45, not firing too quickly, AK-74 in real life is way more accurate than this. I mean, the AK-74 is super accurate. 5.45 is actually more accurate than 5.56, arguably, so this gun is not going to have any issues hitting its shots. But let's talk about the attachments on this gun. So first off, I honestly kind of just prefer to use like a red dot sight. The gun comes with a red dot sight, which is super nice. You could use other sights, and I'll talk about some of the ones that are good on other guns later. And then side rail, I don't really want to talk about this attachment slot too much overall for the next guns, because it's not really that complicated. Just use a green laser if you want to. I mean, a rangefinder is kind of nice, and if you really need a flashlight, you can run that. I just use a green laser on everything because I think it looks the best. And barrel attachments are pretty interesting. So this gun doesn't really have a lot of horizontal recoil, and it doesn't really have a lot of vertical recoil either. This gun is super accurate. So you could run a suppressor that would increase your vertical recoil, or both types of recoil, by quite a bit. And those are kind of nice. They do make your gun a lot quieter, of course, and you have no muzzle flash, so you actually can be hidden more, I guess. But if you want to fix that problem that you were having with being a 5-hit kill, there is a way to very easily fix that, and that's called a heavy or a long barrel. Now, these barrels are super meta because they're the only way to increase your damage really at all in this game. And since you don't really need recoil control, it is worth using one of these too. So both of these will kind of increase your recoil. Heavy will increase both types of recoil, versus long, which will improve your horizontal but increase your vertical by a lot. But the heavy barrel increases your first shot kick by a ridiculous amount of about 50% extra recoil on your first shot, which is super annoying. So I kind of just prefer long barrel overall. You can see the stats here. So you would get better vertical recoil, but of course you get a ton of first shot kick with that and less accuracy than the long barrel provides. And both of these barrels will increase your damage up to 32.55. And this will make your gun way more powerful because it'll give the gun one less hit to actually kill a guy. And getting onto the grips, honestly, there's only a few that I really like in this game, which is the gunfighter grip, which is really good for horizontal recoil. If you have a bunch, it only reduces by 0.06 in this case, because the gun doesn't have a lot of recoil to begin with, but sometimes it'll reduce it by 0.2, like 0.20, like a lot. The SE5 grip is really good because it has not that many downsides to it, like a little bit of handling stuff and like 1% slower walk speed, but that grip will actually give you way better vertical and a little bit better horizontal as well. But the main grip that is really good is the B25 URK grip, which improves both vertical and horizontal, and it reduces your walk speed by a little bit and control by a little bit, but control doesn't really matter. It's only an important stat on sniper rifles with shift to steady scope, so it doesn't really matter on that one, but it makes your reload time better and your draw speed better. So basically your gun pulls out faster and you reload faster because because of a grip, which is crazy. That makes this grip definitely the best grip on this gun and many guns. Getting onto your magazines, of course, you have the shortened magazine, which is 20 rounds instead of 30 rounds, but you get a slightly faster reload time and a slightly faster equip time, worse aiming time though, and more recoil. So this one's terrible. And you have the quick mag, which is obviously going to be amazing because as you can see, it just makes your reload time faster, down to 3 seconds from 3.64. And I'm using the grip as well. So if I was to take off both of these, the reload time is 4 seconds. And if you run both of these together, you go down to only 3 seconds. So 25% faster reload time, which is great. This gun also has an extended mag, but as you can see, increased recoil and terrible handling stats and a slower reload time. That one's really not that great for me. I don't think 15 rounds is worth that much downside, but that's just my opinion. If you're willing to deal with higher recoil, you can get better feeds with that. Now you're going to see what I actually did to improve this gun. So first off, gun is still perfectly accurate. You gotta keep in mind, I'm running a long barrel, which is increasing the recoil, but I've run so much other stuff that have made basically the horizontal recoil non-existent. And the thing you need to realize about this game is that vertical recoil doesn't really matter to a certain extent because you can just pull down, but horizontal recoil is just going to be way more annoying to handle. But as you can see, like, doesn't really matter the range of the gun. Now this gun is super accurate. So overall, I would give this gun a 4 out of 5. And to explain my ranking system, basically a 1 out of 5 means nothing redeeming, don't use it. 2 out of 5 means it's okay. 3 out of 5 means a nice solid gun overall. 4 out of 5 means really good, really great to use. And 5 out of 5 means top tier or super, super broken. I wouldn't give this gun a top tier. I think it's just behind top tier. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Definitely a steal for a starter gun. Like for a starter gun, this gun is great. And the damage range on it isn't super amazing or anything, but it's really not too bad either. Up to about 50 meters, you're going to be able to 4-hit kill when you're using heavy barrel. Otherwise, it's going to be a 5-hit kill. It drops down to 11 over at 300 meters though. So just run this thing up to about 100, 150 meters, and you should be expecting 4, maybe a 5-hit. But of course, it depends on if you're fighting somebody who's got crazy armor or something. But to most players, it's going to be a 4-hit kill with that or 5-hit kill otherwise. Run this setup, it'll be really good. But then we have the M4A1. Now the M4A1 is pretty interesting. It does a little bit less damage, but basically it just has a little bit better recoil than the AK-74. So even though I have a full setup on this one, that's overall basically improving the recoil, this still has a little bit less recoil overall as well. The way I like to run the M4 to make it really, really viable is with a kind of medium range sight. Now this one isn't technically medium range, it doesn't have a lot of zoom to it, but this is the strike fire. But I guess I'll show you guys the iron sights, but you also get a red dot on this one, so just don't use the irons. The irons are pretty decent, as you can see, and the gun runs perfectly fine over some range. Of course, I am decently experienced with the recoil in this game. You can make most of the guns in this game pretty accurate, but for your sight, you can run anything you want. I like this one, the strike fire. This is such a good sight. I'll show you guys why the sight is so good in a second. Side rail is like a laser, whatever you want. Now for this one, you could run a heavy barrel as well, because 31.5 is going to make your gun a 4-hit kill instead of a 5-hit kill, but it really depends on what you want, because if you wanted that 4-hit kill, maybe you should go with a different gun. I think this is going to be the maximum recoil reduction gun to make your gun a laser beam, because you can make this gun a laser beam. And if you want a laser beam gun, honestly, tactical is really, really good. That's a really great barrel, because honestly, the barrels in this game don't really have a massive effect on recoil other than like heavy, long barrel suppressors, and of course the flash hider, and I'll talk about the flash hider soon. I like to run tactical. It's just great for overall recoil, and also the barrels don't really have a ton of downsides some of the time. This one doesn't have any effect on handling, just a little bit on like sound spread, which doesn't matter, and accuracy is like 1 less, so it doesn't really matter. And your first shot kick is higher, but it doesn't really matter if your first shot kick is a little higher on an auto gun. And for grip, you could go for the gunfighter grip or something like that, but of course, I mean, you kind of got to go with this one, the B25 URK. You get a faster reload time. I don't know, like the faster reload is super nice. You're going to go down 0.38 seconds on your reload time down to 3.79, which is great. And of course, this has an extended mag for 45 rounds. Extended mags in this game a lot of the time have massive downsides, so I don't really use them, but the quick mag makes your reload time down to a 3-second one as well. So overall, this setup is great because look, this is the non-holding R reload. Pretty quick, but then of course if you hold R, really fast and nice reload. But the biggest thing about this one is that I'll just show you, like, it is so accurate. If you go out to like 80 meters even, like, you're not going to be perfectly accurate, like the recoil, it is so low. An interesting thing about this one is that if you don't really like the flash on your gun, this one doesn't really have a big problem with it, but you can run flash hider, but I'll talk about that one in a second because it has massive downsides. But then next up we have the AK-15. Now the AK-15, this one does 40 damage. It's doing massive damage, but you got to keep in mind that's still going to be a 4-hit kill, which is annoying because yeah, people are going to have 125 health or more. So this is only going to be a 4-hit kill, and I'll just show you why that can be a problem because this gun's got annoying recoil, and it's only got 540 RPM, so you can run this thing at a little bit of range, you know? Of course, in combat, this is going to be terrible for you. The red dot actually shows the recoil a little bit better. As you can see, bit of horizontal and quite a bit of vertical climb. So you could run the gunfighter, and as you can see, you're getting a lot better horizontal, and I do kind of recommend that one. Of course, the URK is going to be great because reload speed is always great. The gunfighter is really good on this one as well. Tactical barrel is going to be really good for just overall recoil reduction. And as you can see, this gun only has a 24-round magazine, which is interesting. And it's got 2 extended mags, a 40-round one, and a 45. So B is a 45 and A is a 40. Both of these will have massive downsides to recoil and stuff. Like this one has a massive recoil downside of plus 0.56. Wow, that is a lot of... Yeah, it's just kind of annoying to use any of these ones. And the quick mag is still 24, but you're getting a much faster reload time, which is really helpful because this is going to be a close range gun. I'll just show you guys. Just kind of annoying to use this gun, you know? By the way, I was going to give the M4 a 4 out of 5 as well. It's very competitive with the heavy barrel and stuff, but this one... Like, this is actually with some recoil control and a really, really good setup. You gotta keep in mind, this has a full 160 less RPM than the AK-74, but because of the health system in this game, it's actually doing about the same damage. The hits to kill are going to be about the same, and the recoil is just way more annoying. I guess the headshot damage is a good upside, because yes, it is doing 60 headshot, which would be a almost 2-shot headshot, so maybe we can get that down by using a heavy barrel. The only issue is, of course, going to be the recoil. Both of these will increase your damage by a full 2 points, which is really nice. Same issues as before, of course. I think probably long barrel is still going to be better because holy, this gun has annoying recoil, but as you can see, still all right recoil. And now if I were to shoot a player with this, 42 and 63 head. Now that's barely enough to get a 3-hit kill body and a 2-shot kill head, which is really good. And yes, this gun is super competitive, but it's got 2 major issues. First off, the recoil makes it kind of not super viable without a full setup of really high kill attachments. And secondly, by the time you get those high kill attachments, there is just a better gun for you. This gun is not a great medium range gun at all. It has pretty good range and the velocity is not too bad or anything. The reload time can be pretty solid as well, but the capacity plus the downsides of an extended mag and everything make it just not the best assault rifle in the game. I would give this one probably a 3 out of 5. I don't think it's that bad, but it's just really not anything too special because of a gun later on the list. Now next up we have the Scar H. So you can run a heavy barrel on it if you want to, but I don't really recommend it. Here's the recoil. Recoil's really not too bad, and I'm kind of surprised they put these guns so close together because if you run the heavy barrel on one, it's kind of the same thing. This gun is pretty accurate as well, and it's a pretty cool gun because it's kind of like an automatic DMR. So for barrel, no long barrel is really necessary on this one. Pack barrel, probably the best. You're probably going to want the gunfighter grip or the SE5. SE5 is kind of best for both, but here's where this gun gets really awful kind of, and why I wouldn't say it's the best gun at all. The reload time is 4.1 seconds for 20 rounds, but if you get a faster reload time on the gun, you get higher recoil by quite a bit. It's actually lessened because I already have attachments on the gun, but it is increasing your recoil by a decent amount, and an extended mag very much increases your recoil and reduces all your handling stats as well. So you can't really run an extended mag without the recoil being really bad, and this is with a really good setup as well. You kind of have to run the default base 20 round mag, which, you know, 20 rounds is not too bad for the damage and everything, but honestly, if you kind of think about it, is it even worth the difference between this and the AK-15? AK-15's got, you know, 24 rounds, a better means of actually getting a faster reload time, and this gun is just, it's pretty nice. I really like it, but I don't think it's that good. So I'm gonna give this one a 2 out of 5. I think it's good. Like I said, 2 out of 5 does not mean it's a bad gun entirely. It just means it's an alright gun. 1 out of 5 would be like, this gun sucks, it's never going to be used, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. Definitely a gun worth checking out. I think a lot of people could do well with it, but the range being the same as the AK-15 is kind of annoying because, like, you could just run AK-15, get that faster rate of fire, and be about as accurate, as well as having very similar damage and the same range. In fact, it's the same damage if you're just running a heavy barrel. Next up, we have the Aug A3, which is one of the weirdest and probably worst assault rifles in this game. It has an amazing damage range of about 130 meters for its base damage range, but here's where it gets kind of annoying. First off, it does 124 in 4 shots, so you're gonna have to run a heavy barrel, and then the recoil is not gonna be as good. And second off, like, the recoil is not even like that amazing, considering something very important that you guys forgot, which is that it does the same damage as an AK-74. The recoil is pretty solid, and you can make it really good, but the AK-74 not only does the same damage and has very similar recoil, but it actually has a full 200 more RPM. This gun is super slow. It has 500 RPM. It does have a really good quick mag for just a faster reload time, and the reload becomes really good, and I'll show you guys how to make this gun really good with that. It has an extended mag, which is actually pretty good, but it only gives you 5 rounds. Not really that worth it. And it has a second extended mag for even more downsides and stuff. But the best way to run this gun, in my opinion, is a quick mag, B25 URK, and a suppressor, because this gun gets really accurate and really quiet, and it reloads really fast. So this is a alright flanking gun if you do this, because look, that's without holding R. Like, that's really fast. This is the holding R one. So fast. So fast of a reload. Reload speed on a gun that just isn't that effective to use, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 5. I think it's an alright gun. Not its upsides for sure, like for example, the velocity is really good. So it's an alright like medium range suppressed gun in my opinion. Great for like flanking and like taking on a ton of people, getting quick reloads off, but I don't think it's that great. Next up we have the SG550. Now this will be a 5-shot, and there's no way to make it not a 5-shot. The damage on it is really not that great, so you're going to want to just completely skip over like a heavy barrel or something, because you only get 28 instead of 27 damage. Go for like a tactical barrel, or basically that's it. I feel like the tactical barrel is like the best barrel in the game, but that's just my opinion, at least for recoil control. But without attachments, as you can see, pretty good rate of fire, really low recoil. It's not really as powerful as the AK-74 or the M4 can be, which is definitely a big thing, because you gotta keep in mind, you can make the M4 and the AK-74 a 4-hit kill, so this is going to take an extra hit to kill. But let's talk about whether or not that will be worth it. First off, it has the same fire rate as them. Does it have a better quick mag? Nope, it does not, because the quick mag increases recoil, but I guess you could run that because it's not that much more recoil. The two of these together is a very fast reload time, which is nice, and if you're running like a full setup like this, let's take a look at the recoil. It's low. But you've just realized something. You gotta run a flash hider. Okay, don't tell me that you don't have to run a flash hider on this gun. This has terrible muzzle flash, alright? The flash hider is really good. Also, you could run a suppressor if you wanted to. But let's talk about the flash hider really quick, because I think this attachment is really cool. What you'll notice here is massive increase to vertical recoil, but decrease to horizontal recoil. So as you can see, much better muzzle flash, but higher vertical recoil, but no horizontal recoil. So this is really good if you can just pull down. Now, is this gun good now? I'd say overall, yeah, it's a good gun. But it's kind of not as good as the M4 and the AK-74. Simply because it's got the same fire rate. Yeah, it's got like lower recoil and a faster reload, but it just doesn't have the same hits to kill on most players, which is annoying. I don't really feel like that's worth it, but if it's worth it for you, it's a good gun. Now, next up, we have the Famas. The Famas is a very interesting gun, so let's talk about it without any attachments on. First off, terrible iron sights. You're gonna have to run this and get 5 kills to get a sight, which is annoying. Second off, it's got some recoil to it. Not a ton of recoil. The biggest thing here is that it's got a 25 round default capacity, which is annoying considering it's got 900 fire rate, and yes, it does 24 damage. It has an extended mag for 35, which is pretty decent, and I kind of prefer to have that reload time thing for the 2.32 second reload time, which makes this a really solid gun for killing one single person, right? Well, actually, no, not at all. This gun kind of sucks. You could run a long barrel, I guess, but we'll talk about that. And so if you're running a recoil control setup, really still not super accurate, you know? And I'm running nothing that's increasing your recoil and a lot of stuff that are just improving it. Kind of still annoying recoil. But let's talk about why this gun isn't good. It does have a burst mode, which is kind of fun, except it doesn't one burst because it only does 24 damage a shot, but it does do 36 to the head, which is a 1 burst kill, which sounds great, right? So you could run on burst if you wanted to, but actually that does only 101 damage. So on a real target with at least 125 health, it would be a 4-hit kill headshot. And what you must realize now is 24 damage on 125 health is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is super annoying because, yeah, it's got extra fire rate, but there are guns in like the SMG category that are going to destroy this. And also, the damage over range is terrible. The recoil isn't that great. The velocity is fine, but I'll just show you guys. It drops down to 8 damage, and yeah, that's after a long time. The initial damage range is only about 40 meters too, so you're gonna drop damage really quickly and be down to like a 8 or 9 shot kill on only 25 rounds. So most of the guns in this game were just absolutely beaming and getting like 8 kills right here. This gun is doing nothing. Like, it's really good for close range, but not actually, because I'll talk about it in my PW video, because holy, the SMGs in this game, some of them are crazy good. But this is essentially a worse version of one of the starter SMGs, and an even worse version of one of the higher level SMGs. This gun is fine, but honestly, like, I probably should give it a 1 out of 5, but I still think it's alright for what it can do. It's a 2 out of 5. It's not great. But next up, we have the ACR. This is an assault rifle that does 25 damage with 700 rate of fire. Essentially, I guess it's kind of like a M4, but with lower damage by a lot. And we can run a full setup on this because it can be pretty accurate, but yeah, don't use the long barrel on it. I guess tactical barrel will go for quick mag maybe, but the quick mag actually has downsides to your running speed. What? I guess the nice thing about this one is that it has a 40 round mag, which is cool, but it does have a quick B mag, which is a faster reload time with a little bit more recoil, but 35 rounds, which is nice. 5 extra rounds with not that much downside. So there is that. If you want 5 extra rounds, it's kind of nice. But this gun is not great because it doesn't deal a lot of damage, and the damage range is not that great. And the fire rate is really average too. So honestly, this gun, I'm going to be giving a 3 out of 5 for one reason, and that's the extra 5 rounds is nice. You can get the extra 5 rounds with a faster reload, a really nice reload time for 35 rounds, but it's really not worth it. But as you can see, better than the Famas. Next up, we have the G36C, and this one's kind of nice because you can run a long barrel and get that better hit-to-kill ratio on most people. The reload time is not great, but the vertical recoil is kind of annoying on this one. So what you could actually do in this case is run a vertical grip, and the vertical grip, I haven't mentioned it before because it's not that great on most guns, but really improves this one. And the big thing here that really separates this from other guns in this game is that you can get that 4-hit kill on most players. However, it has 750 RPM, which is nice. And the reload time isn't quite as bad as other guns in this game. It does have an extended mag, but that will increase your reload time to 4.39. And it has a quick magazine for a free extra reload time boost. And then it also has a drum mag, a 50 round drum, but you have a ton of recoil. And I don't really recommend it at all. I don't know. I don't feel like a drum magazine on this one is really that important. It can be alright. So mostly I just use the quick magazine because it'll have a faster reload. Overall, I do feel like this gun, if you want kinda what the starting assault rifles did, but with a little bit of a boost in terms of your fire rate, I think this gun is really, really good. And it also has that basic assault rifle damage range, which makes it really solid overall. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 as well. Very competitive, one of the best assault rifles in the game. Although for a high rank gun, it's kind of generic, but it's good. But then we have the HK419. Now this is a really interesting gun because it's a little bbit like a basic M4A1 upgrade. The iron sights are way nicer. Its fire sound is not that great, but it does have a nice reload time. It's pretty accurate by default. And also, of course, it has the best reload animation. You're also going to want a long barrel on this one because it's doing the same damage as an AK-74, which is really nice. It has a little bit less fire rate than those, but it's really good. And then just run this, and it also has a quick mag for a little bit increased recoil is the issue, but not that much. So overall, this is with the increased damage. It's pretty good. The only issue is that you kind of want a suppressor or flash hider, and then you don't really get the sides. But the muzzle flash isn't too bad. I'd say it is probably better than the M4, so maybe I'll give it a 5 out of 5. I think this gun is really, really good because it just does everything really well. The reload is really freaking nice. I give this one a 5 out of 5 because, yes, such a nice reload, very fast, really accurate, doesn't really need a flash hider. It's good. So that's our first 5 out of 5. Really good gun, great velocity, really high accuracy. But next up, we have the FAL, which is the FAL, a Belgian 7.62 by 51mm battle rifle. Now, let's use it without anything. As you can see, very, very high horizontal recoil, which is pretty annoying, kind of all over the place, but pretty low vertical recoil for what this gun can do. Because yes, this gun is putting out 40 damage a shot, but it has a fire rate of 650 instead of 540. So this is essentially the gun that I was talking about as the better AK-15, because not only is it maybe easier to use recoil-wise because it's not so bouncy, because the fire rate is higher, but also the fire rate is higher. So there's that. So you can run a heavy or a long barrel if you want to get that increased damage and up to a very nice 3-hit kill to the body. And then I'd probably run a gunfighter or maybe the URK. And then we got our magazines here. So first off, we have increased vertical recoil one, which is actually a short mag, so only 15 rounds, but you get a faster reload time, which might be worth it because it's half a second faster. And you have quick mag, you do get a much faster reload time, but higher recoil. And then you have an extended mag for crazy recoil, but 32 rounds. But with this setup, as you can see, has quite a bit of recoil, but for the damage this thing can put out in close range, it might be worth it. Essentially, this is going to have the time to kill a Famas, actually probably better, but it's going to have crazy damage per shot. And for headshot damage, we have 63, which is going to make it a 2-hit kill to the head, which is super nice as well. Is it the best assault rifle in the game? Arguably, yes. I would say it is a 5 out of 5. This gun is just a monster in close range. It definitely has its downsides. You don't have to run the quick mag if you don't want to. And then the recoil will be considerably better, so it really just depends on what you want from your gun. It is obviously going to be really nice to get a faster reload time, but I don't think the reload time is that bad for what it is, you know? But then we have, for some reason, a rank 145 assault rifle called the AK-5C. I don't know why this is even in the game, because we'll get into it. Basically, this gun has kind of cool iron sights, but really weird sound effect, only 700 RPM. Recoil is fine. It has the same damage as the M4A1. So you can run a heavy barrel if you want to on it, but why is this even in the game? It just feels like an M4A1. We'll put a heavy barrel, we'll put a URK grip on it, and for some reason it doesn't have a magazine attachment, which is so weird. Like, you just can't even use a separate mag for it. And it's fine. I don't know. This gun, honestly, I'm gonna give this one a 1 out of 5. Worst assault rifle, I don't know what the purpose of it is. Hopefully they make it better in the future and add, like, maybe a cool ammo attachment or something to it, because it is nothing. This gun is nothing to me. I do not care. It is fine. Kind of anticlimactic end to the video because, yeah, the final gun is not good, but the FAL should be the final assault rifle in this game. It is just so good. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to like the video. Let's go for 1,000 likes on this video, and I'll make a part 2. And also, just so you guys know, subscribe if you're new, because yes, I will be making more BattleBit videos. All right, gun. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a nice day.